Hey, how's it going? I've had a chance to watch your video here a couple times and got a couple things for you. Overall, pretty good lap. What I can see is probably going to help you the most, and this might take a little time, is you're actually going to have to back it down a little bit a notch. What I'm seeing most common is just a little bit of overdriving, and just kind of with that in mind, keep that. Try to always think about doing everything 1% at a time. So some of the things I'm seeing, like you're going back to the throttle at the right spot, but you're sometimes able to get back to the throttle probably a little too quickly for like how fast the corner actually is, and that kind of tells me that maybe there's a little wiggle room to roll a bit more speed and carry a bit more momentum in the corner. But we'll just go corner by corner. Um, this is your second lap on that on this run because it was your quickest one, and it was completely clean. We'll go through, but I've watched all the laps and I'll reference a couple other things that happened on the other laps. We'll just take a look at this one. So let's get started here on the front straight, and we'll just go corner by corner. So overall, your braking points look pretty good. Some of them maybe even a little too deep. You would actually benefit by braking maybe a car length earlier in a couple spots. And one thing to keep in mind is that it should always be easy to release the brake. So whenever you want to go to turn in, it should be easy to start releasing pressure off the brake pedal and just using the brake pedal to help the car turn. So keeping some weight on the nose to help it rotate. It's a good line in. And kind of what I was referring to at the start of the video is just how quickly you were able to ramp back up to full throttle. Turn one is a pretty high speed corner. That just tells me maybe we overslowed it a little bit and there's a little wiggle room. You did better on the next lap here. It looked like you carried a little bit more speed and it was a slower tip in back to the throttle. We still want to get to the throttle, full throttle pretty quickly because we'll lead onto a long straightaway. But if you're ever able to do anything like flicking on a light switch, usually there can be a little bit of time gained by smoothing it out and kind of just keeping the momentum going. Kind of a general rule of thumb is by every apex on track, be able to put your foot back on the gas and start applying power depending on how long the next straightaway is. Kind of varies, or how high speed the corner is. Kind of dictates how fast we need to get back to full throttle. It's if it's a very slow corner leading onto a very long straightaway, sacrifice a little bit of rolling speed, get back to the throttle really quickly but smoothly. If it's a really fast corner, usually they're going to be slower tip in points. So this is a pretty quick corner, and you basically were able to go to full throttle like flicking on a light switch. All that tells me is maybe there was a wiggle room to roll a couple more miles per hour and kind of keep your momentum going. Also, watching how, well, let's back it up a little bit, how quickly it would come off the brake. So that looks pretty good on the brakes. Trailing it in. And we're right back to full throttle. So all the braking look pretty good. Maybe just a little bit of wiggle room to carry a little bit more speed into this turn one. Just kind of keep that in mind. Do everything 1% at a time. And turns 3 and 4. Good in 3, but don't feel like you have to go back to full throttle. Build it up 1% at a time, but try to get a good run down this hill every time. Remember, the bigger steering input you have to put in to get the car to turn, the more speed you're going to scrub. So you run a little wide there. You do better on the next lap, but I can still hear the fronts really screaming. Just really stay focused on this exit and try to, if you're wide, it probably means you went turned in a little tick too late. Maybe try turning in a tick earlier, but try to slow your hands down. The slower you ask the car to do something on turn in, the faster you can go. Looks pretty good through here. So you're fighting traction control, carry good speed, and you gain a lot of grip here at apex. And we go right back to full throttle. Fighting that traction, try to limit that as much as you can. If it's a slower tip in and it keeps you out of the TC a bit more, you're probably gonna be able to build up more speed. Chevy does a good job with their TC, but it's still pretty intrusive. Braking points look pretty spot on here. The next lap, you don't do it because you're passing a car, but you do cheat your turn in here just slightly. So in the braking zone, your braking point looks really good. Just try to keep the car all the way to the left so you're ready to turn in. Let's go a tick farther. See, we're pulling in. And by doing that, you're just tightening the radius. You're not going to be able to roll as much speed into the corner as if we were turning in from all the way out on the left side of the road. So just open that radius up. Keep the car braking in a straight line till your turn-in point, and then slow turn in. If all these cones are in the same spot as they were last time I'm there, you should be turning in about half a car length earlier than all the cones are placed. So just remember, slow hands. Last time I was there, all the cones were a little late. Nice apex. And then you look pretty smooth through here. Just try to, with this, sorry, this section of track, try to keep everything 1% of time as smooth as possible. Just a compromise between every corner. Build up a little bit. Good, tap the brake. Oh, that's pretty good. Dropping down the hill here, you look pretty solid. Again, the slower we ask a car to do something, the more it's going to work with us. So this car is high enough horsepower, you might have to do the tap of the brake you're doing here, but try to ease out of the gas. Don't hop off and jump on the brake, just ease off and do a very light brush of the brake. So the smoother you do the roll out of the gas, probably the less brake you'll need, and then be smooth back to the throttle on the way out. So I kind of look at the way you're able to just commit back to full throttle again. You might have a little bit more wiggle room to speed or a little more speed. Just slow your throttle release down so you're not getting such a huge weight transfer to the nose of the car. That looks pretty good. On the next lap, you do shallow up this entry. So it looks like you did it here just a tiny bit, not as bad. And just try to keep that car, give yourself a couple feet of buffer, but try not to give up a half a car width or a car width or more on entry. You can see we're coming to our apex. Looks pretty good. But you're having to turn the car tighter and tighter than you would if you just try to open up that radius a bit more on entry. A little breathe, squeeze, and then just stay focused on the exit here. Both times you look pretty good. Just remember, slow hands on entry. This car, I imagine, will do just fine if you end up clipping that curb on the way down. Just try not to be wide of it, because the second you go over the crest of the hill, you're going to be losing front end grip. That's a good line. I think the next lap you go just a tick wide of it, and that's just going to hurt your exit. Stay focused on the exit. Again, slow your hands down, slow your feet down. The slower you ask a car to do something, faster it's going to go. Any abrupt inputs will just scrub speed. Good through the kink. Scariest corner on track will probably be a little brush of the brake or a lift and just coast. Your rolling speed looks pretty good through here. Just when you come into this braking zone, second you can start straightening that wheel, start applying brake pressure. The faster you can straighten the wheel, the faster you can go to 100% brake. Just really stay focused on this exit here. So even maybe just back it up even a tick more and just brake a car length earlier. And don't try to rush to so much throttle. How much throttle we got? So we're able to go back to full throttle for a brief second. Again, that tells me there's a little wiggle room probably to roll a tick more speed into there, because we just want to carry our speed right into the braking zone. But again, This is a big commitment corner, so just take your time, work up to it. Try not to make any mistakes there because they can be big, which you probably already know. And then just let it open up here on the exit. You got plenty of time, a lot of track to bring the car back over. But like I said, overall, really good lap. It's going to be probably a little difficult but whatever your current braking points are right now, back them up maybe a car length or two. It's going to be pretty small. And just focus on rolling speed. Remember, the faster the corner is going to be, usually the slower the tip in back in the throttle is going to be, because we're carrying more speed. It's going to be a slower unwind of the steering wheel. And that brings me to my last point to always do is watch the wheel. It's kind of your best guide inside the car to tell you what you can and can't do. If your hands are moving really fast, then you got to breathe off the gas, or you have to release the brake pedal really quick. If your hands are moving really slow, then you can ease off the throttle slower, or you can ease off the brake pedal slower and use them more effectively to help you turn the car and load weight where you need it, but not without overloading it. And then vice versa. On corner exits, faster we can open our hands, faster we can add throttle. If you ever find yourself only slowly being able to unwind your hands, it's not always a bad thing, but you're going to have to it's going to be a slower tip in back to the throttle. Just kind of use those things, keep those things in mind, and give it some practice. I hope it all goes well at the next track day. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Okay, thanks. Bye.